It wasn't until I had my learning abroad experience that kind of just opened my eyes up to the world, and I realized like there's so many different things that I could do, so many different opportunities out there for me.
My learning abroad experience impacted my academic career because I added a Spanish minor. I was able to fill most of the credits abroad and kind of gain those language skills, which impact both my academic life and my career trajectory.
I initially thought it would help me understand if I wanted to do service projects abroad in the medical field, but I actually walked away from the experience knowing that academic medicine was for me.
I mean, it impacted my academic and career trajectory greatly, and I don't think I could stress that enough.
I'd never had any kinds of experiences like that. No, nothing I did on this study abroad were familiar to me in any way.
The Cuba class really almost just re-engaged me in what I was already doing.
I hadn't considered working in higher education or international education before I studied abroad. And after I studied abroad, I came home and I helped out on campus promoting study abroad and worked with the study abroad office. So that kind of piqued my interest in working in higher education, specifically study abroad.
Going on a global learning abroad experience really expanded everything that I wanted to do.
And most rewarding experience I had learning abroad, I mean, can I have like multiple?
I got to meet a lot of people across the country, not only from Utah, like everyone from the 50 states and everyone around the world coming to like National Taiwan University in the summer.
It taught me so much about what medical education is like here in the States versus in another institution, and opened my eyes to the possibilities that there were.
The ability to make connections with people. I think that's the most rewarding experience because a lot of the students I became friends with in my learning abroad experience, I still keep in contact with today.
I actually got involved in teaching English lessons to some of the refugee students as well, and that's never something I would be able to do here, so it was a really interesting opportunity.
The more I learned about what people in this country thought of us, the less I realized I knew, and I just kept learning more and more from there.
I find the most rewarding experience that I had was actually working with the Thai people. Just the amount of gratitude and open-mindedness that they have.
So one of the challenges I actually experienced was still keeping up on some of the responsibilities I may have had here in my current life, and not just completely forgetting about it and saying, okay, I'm just going to forget about that and worry about that whenever I come back from my trip.
It took some time for me to understand my host mom. She spoke only Spanish, so it was a little bit overwhelming and I felt a little bit isolated at the beginning. But I learned that I didn't have to have perfect responses. I just had to slow down and listen to her.
So at the beginning, it was kind of hard for me to understand how to connect with Spaniards and make friends there. But as I kind of interacted with more and went to events where I got to meet Spanish students and talk about our mutual interests, I kind of learned the ins and outs of Spanish culture and like the do's and don'ts.
Having a family, I have 3 children. One's now in college herself and 2 teenagers, but at the time they were little. And so being able to leave them for that amount of time and depending upon my spouse to take care of them was a huge barrier.
One of the biggest barriers I faced personally was I'm a first-generation college student, so I didn't know anyone that had ever studied abroad, let alone really gone to college in my family, so I didn't have any experience. I kind of just went into it blind, and that was really intimidating. I felt like I kind of overcame that barrier by doing research and reaching out to people who had studied abroad that maybe I wasn't really close to, but I wanted to get an answer to.
Still balancing a sport and making sure you're staying on top of what you need to be doing for your sport. That was a big barrier before I even went on the trip.
I had never been away from home, so that was a big barrier, taking that step towards independence and being away from my family and my friends and the culture that I knew. But the longer that I was there, I learned to kind of embrace the differences and appreciate them instead of think of the negative aspects to them, and that really helped.
3 months in a classroom or 4 weeks in a foreign country. It was kind of a no-brainer for me.
Living an experience is so much different than reading about it.
Of course, there's a language barrier to a degree, but with practice, that barrier kind of diminishes.
And I was lucky financially. I was able to get a scholarship for being a diverse, non-traditional student.
Financially, for my program, it's a little bit expensive, but because I got the scholarship through the Flash and Financial Aid FAFSA, and I got one scholarship through Learning Abroad Office, those scholarship opportunities just give me that opportunity to go to study abroad at National Taiwan University.
Quickly, I learned that there are scholarships available, applied for some of them, and was fortunate enough to get one of them that helped significantly in reducing the cost of my trip.
Learning to keep your learning abroad experience with you, even though it's over, because I've felt like I didn't want to lose that part of me because it was such an important part of my life. And so I've learned to incorporate that into little things. Like now I go teach English lessons at an adult education center, and I listen to Spanish music, and I make Spanish food every once in a while and talk about it.
It was my first time live outside the country by myself. I was there represent the U, and I was the U student, so it was different than just live by myself without my family and my friends.
Even though at the moment it seemed like a big investment, looking back, especially being graduated, and knowing I had that sort of experience under my belt, it's huge.
Kind of took my own advice, is that you can always make more money, you can't make more time.
It was a great investment for me. I love learning different languages, and especially my future career, I want to work not only in locally, but I want to work in globally, especially when you speak the language, you know the culture, you can able to connect with those people and help them exchange your ideas and exchange your perspective.
It's given me both hard and soft skills that I think I can take to the job market and really market myself as a globally competent individual. And I think it's changed my perspective on the world to be more inclusive and accepting and just more curious.
It ended up leading right into a job that was a perfect step up for me. It was a new challenge. And honestly, the job was a huge promotion for me. So in some ways, my learning abroad experience got me a promotion.
I would say it was one of the best investments I made during my college career.
This was research. This was work, but it was the most incredible experience and the best money that I spent at the U. And I spent a lot of money at the U. So absolutely 100% great investment.